What up, everybody? YouTube Live. All right, let's wait for a minute here to see that to see if we're kicking in on YouTube. Whew, man, what a day! What a day it has been so far. Okay, let's see. Are we on? What up, everybody? YouTube Live. All right, we're good. It always cracks me up hearing my own voice. Excuse me. Whew. So, I was in Los Angeles earlier this morning screening the movie Morbius. And the review embargo lifts this evening, but I'm not going to be able to meet that review embargo this evening because I just got back. And number two, Morbius is a terrible film. So I am not in a rush to be talking about or to be doing a review about a horrible film like that. It was god awful. So forgive me if I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, I gotta meet the deadline at 5 p.m. for the review embargo lift for Morbius. No, I think I would do that for Spider-Man No Way Home. I think I would do that for a much better movie, but for a shitty movie like Morbius, I think I can wait. You'll still live, and I'll still live if I don't meet the review embargo time for Morbius. But I want to talk about my favorite movie star, my favorite action star. So this happened, or this hit the web when I was in Los Angeles again watching Morbius, and I saw this on Twitter. And when I came back here half an hour ago, I was like, I gotta discuss this. I gotta share my 2 cents. You know, he's my hero, Bruce Willis, and I know that we have made fun of Bruce Willis a few times in the past, including the fact that he got nominated for like Razzie Awards, that he got his own special category for Razzies because last year he made so many bad movies. And I'm not gonna take back that joke. All right, I know we're living in the day and age where like, oh my God, should we? After Chris Rock said that about Jada, do we need to be careful about what we say? Do we need to be careful about how to be funny or how joke? No, dude. Joke around, joke if you will. Not a lot of people gonna be thinking it's funny. Not a lot of people gonna think. A lot of people are gonna think it's distasteful, and that's fine. But you have the right to say a joke, and I'm not gonna take back the jokes I made about Bruce Willis being nominated for Razzie Award special category because that was it was worthy of being made fun of. But here we come to if you're wondering the reason why, apparently we now know why he has made all those terrible movies over the past, I want to say for the past decade, with the exception of maybe M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, that combo of Split and Unbreakable movie. Remember that? And we now know why. Because today, Bruce Willis has announced, I think through his spokesperson, if you will, let's see here, that he is officially retiring from acting. Like, fully retiring completely. Here you go. And I believe Bruce Willis is about, 67 years old? He's around the same age as Denzel Washington. So it says here on Hollywood Reporter, Bruce Willis is stepping away from his acting career after being diagnosed with aphasia, which leads to the loss of ability to understand and express speech. His family said in a statement posted to social media. So it's not him announcing it, it's through his family. And I continue to Bruce's amazing supporters. As a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. 67 years old. There you go. He's best known for playing John McClane. The producer of Die Hard, Larry Gordon, said, "I'm very saddened by this news. Bruce is a good friend and was fantastic to work with on Die Hard 1 and 2. They could not be harder films for an actor to make and survive. He is the consummate pro and gutsy guy. And Hollywood Reporter here listed a lot of Bruce's resume. And I grew up idolizing Bruce Willis, man. You have no idea. I worship the man. Um, I always tell people that I learned English language by watching Die Hard. Yes, that includes Yippee motherfucker. And so um, that's what I always tell people ever since I was a kid. You know, even when I was taking English lessons in Indonesia. You know, after school, there's English lessons, private classes. Um, but I always tell people like, no, no, I didn't learn my English from that. I learned my English language from watching Die Hard. I love Bruce Willis, and in Indonesia, they also, you know, because I grew up in the '90s, they also showed reruns of Miami Vice and Moonlighting. And so I know that Bruce Willis, you know, before Moonlighting series, Bruce Willis started his career as an extra. I believe one of the extras gigs that he did was for The Verdict, starring Paul Newman, I believe. Um, and then he did an extra for Miami Vice. You know, you can look it up. You can look up which episode that was. And he was so young back then. He was so handsome. And then Moonlighting came out like around 1985. I was about 2 years old, obviously, but I watched it in the 90s. Um, and it was awesome. It was awesome. That sexual tension between Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis on that show. It's a great show. It's a great. And then of course he became a movie star in the late '80s with Die Hard and stuff like that. He left Moonlighting and he just, you know, strictly did movies only. Um, so I guess you could say that Bruce Willis has been in this business for as long as I have lived, right? Around early '80s. That's when he started. Prior to that, Bruce was a bouncer. He was a bouncer. I read somewhere at nightclubs and whatnot. Uh, and of course, you know, his side hustle. So he did some music and he played harmonica. He's not a. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie. He's not very good at music. Just like Russell Crowe is not very good at music. I know Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe also has his own band. But it's one of those cases where famous people think that, like, you know what, I'm good at one thing, that means I could be good at the other thing too. No, that's not always the case. um, Rail Runner Stars, oh my god, so sad to hear my favorite Willis movie is Sixth Sense and The Fifth Element. Yes, yes, I love those as well. Apa kabar, Ma? Baik-baik, thank you so much. Um, yes, the movie with, I was gonna get to that, the movie with Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep. Oh, one of my favorites. I forgot the title, but um, uh, uh, Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep played ghosts, and Bruce Willis played a character that's antithesis to what he usually plays. You know, in that movie, he's not a badass. He's like a bumbling nerd, bumbling idiot. You know, I think he had his mustache on too. But that was a fantastic film. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll have to look that up on Google. What the title is again. This is so sad. Yes, Zoltar the Magnificent. This is so sad indeed. So, if you're wondering what aphasia is, I didn't even know what aphasia was until this morning when I heard this news. So I had to look it up. Aphasia here, according to Wikipedia, can you guys see it? Let me make it bigger here. It's an inability to comprehend or formulate language because of damage to specific brain regions. Um, the major causes are stroke and head trauma. Aphasia can also be the result of brain tumors, brain infections, or neurodegenerative diseases, but the latter are far less prevalent. So Tom Cabler's like, I had no idea this is going on. I had no idea going to mess with Bruce. Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea that he was suffering from this. I think we can all agree that we had no idea. You and I had no idea that this was happening. And Bruce and his family, I guess you could say, had done a pretty good job of keeping this under wraps. You know, keeping this private from all of us, the public. But it's got to the point where it seems that the illness has taken over him so much that that he had no choice but to announce he's not going to be doing acting anymore at all. At 67 years old, he's done. Yeah, he has 67. But still young, man. Samuel L. Jackson is like what 75. He's still making movies like crazy every month, right? But now Bruce Willis is joining the ranks of the Twilight years senior citizens like Jack Nicholson, who had retired a few years ago. Michael Caine retired last year, as you know, right? He announced he's not going to be making movies anymore. Who else? Gene Hackman. You know, he hasn't made movies in 20 years. So yeah, now Bruce Willis, 67 years old. Bruce Willis is joining the company of 90-year-old men, 80s, 88 something, 90-year-old men. You know that company. I was like, it's sad. It's sad. There's no way. There's no other way to put this but sad. You feel sad for Bruce Willis because he's got a lot. 67 years old. You still got a lot of fuel in you, man. You still got a lot of ammo in you. You could make movies for the next 20 years or so, be it bad movies or not. But you could still be in this business at 67 years old. But yeah, so aphasia. From this explanation, I don't know if Bruce Willis had a stroke. Maybe he had a stroke and he didn't tell anybody about it, or his family didn't announce it. But that's one of the causes of aphasia, and the result is that you can't speak well. You can't formulate language. You can't formulate speech, and that's of course problematic if you are an actor because you have to, um, be able to say your line, be able to deliver your lines. You have to be able to also memorize your lines and actually saying the lines as if you're saying them for the very first time. And so this is very unfortunate for any actor to have. If it's any other job, if it's any other field, it's still bad, but this is really deeply affecting for actors. You know what I'm saying? Because actors need to be able to formulate their language or their speech and to be able to formulate their thoughts and memorize lines, deliver their lines. That's part of the job. Um, Reverend says, I have headaches for 2 days straight. I will check the information about aphasia. Death Becomes Her. Yes, thank you, Rel Rendersar. Death Becomes Her. One of my favorite comedies ever. Oh my God. Bruce Willis plays such a different character in that movie. Okay, so let's go through some of our favorite Bruce Willis movies of all time. We are gonna pretend like the last 10 years never happened, okay? Where he made shitty movies. Now it kind of makes sense, right? It kind of makes sense why Bruce Willis made all those shitty movies these past 10 years. Sorry, the trash truck just came by. It made sense now. Maybe his health had been declining this past 10 years, and then his aphasia becoming worse and worse and worse. Because here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Those bad movies, especially the ones that got nominated for Razzie last year, just look them up. Just look them up yourself and watch maybe one or two of them. Bruce Willis only showed up maybe in those movies. He only showed up probably like 20% of the time. He only had like maybe a few scenes in them. Those movies, those bad movies, those shitty movies, most of them are indie movies. They pretty much they just rely on Bruce Willis's face on their poster. To sell the movies, they put Bruce Willis's name on it, Bruce Willis's face on it, because he used to be a big blockbuster star, but he only showed up for 2-3 scenes in the film, and it made sense why Bruce Willis agreed to do those movies instead of staying with or maybe fighting to keep his place in the bigger Hollywood flicks, because he didn't have to do much, guys. He did not have to do much in those shitty movies. He probably already felt that his health was declining. He couldn't deliver his lines well anymore. He couldn't, memorize or formulate thoughts anymore. And so, you know what? This is an easy paycheck. Easy peasy paycheck. I just show up for 2-3 days worth of work and I get paid, and they use my image, and I get paid for them using my image. They get to market their movies using my name on it. It's like win-win for everybody. So it made sense now. It totally made sense why he has been doing all those shitty movies these past 10 years. Um, yeah, that's my theory. But you know in your heart of hearts that that's correct. um, Blue Barrymore, man, I wonder if all the people talking shit about him for the last 2 years feel bad. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Blue Barrymore, I made fun of him when he got nominated for Razzie Awards special category. We all did, and I don't think we should take that back. I don't think we need to feel bad about that video. You know, it's like I feel like we're living in a day and age like, oh, we jokes and comedy. We have to walk on eggshells, around people, and then we never take the consideration. Maybe, maybe Chris Rock did not know about Jada Pinkett's health condition. How come we never took that into consideration? So am I supposed to know everything about Bruce Willis before I made fun of him? Prior to today, maybe I should have like, oh, should I make fun of Google Bruce Willis? Oh, maybe let me Google first. What does he have his health condition? Oh, no, come on, guys. Jokes are jokes. Comedy and comedy. Okay, you don't have to design or maneuver or navigate comedy around people's feelings. People's like, do we have to know everything before we formulate a joke? So no, I know I'm getting worked up about over that, but still, we don't have to feel bad about jokes that we made before we had this knowledge of him, suffering from aphasia. So it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Art SM says last year he signed a contract with a company from Russia so that they could use his face as a deepfake for their TV commercials. Now it makes sense why he agreed to do it. Yes, as I said, it makes total sense now because his health was declining apparently these past 10 years, and he only had to show up in those bad movies for like two, 3 scenes, right? And then they use his image for marketing, and everybody, it's a win-win situation, and he gets the paycheck. It's easy paycheck as opposed to doing Die Hard 6 or whatever, where he would have to carry the movie entirely by himself. You see what I'm saying? So as opposed to that. So anyway, by the way, for those of you who just tuned in, I watched Morbius this morning. It was terrible. I'm not in a rush to give you Morbius review. I'm not in a rush to give you reviews of any terrible movie, so I'm going to take my time on that. Even though the review embargo lifts this evening, you can expect my Morbius review probably tomorrow morning. Okay. All right. So Bruce Willis's classics. Come on, Die Hard, right? Come on, Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard 3. I think the trilogy was great. The fourth movie was okay. I think the fourth movie, Live Free or Die Hard. What really hurt Live Free or Die Hard is the fact that it was PG-13. I think, in my opinion, they cut away from the violence. They cut away from the language. It was yippee mother, and then he shot he pulled the trigger, the shot thing. It was too walking on eggshells over a Die Hard, and you can't have a Die Hard movie like that. So that's what's disappointing. Die Hard 5, you know, with with Jack Courtney playing his son, that was so terrible. Oh my God, that movie was so awful. Die Hard 5. I don't even know what the subtitle is anymore. It's a shitty movie. Um, the Fifth Element was fantastic. I think Gary Oldman was in that. Mila Jovovich was in that too. That's a Luc Besson movie. One of my favorite sci-fis. Chris Tucker was in that. Um, Armageddon. Who can forget Armageddon? I think I think that's the movie where Bruce Willis has been a movie star even before Armageddon showed up, right? But that shot of him and the rest of the astronauts in their yellow, I'm sorry, not yellow, orange suit, walking on the tarmac like slow motion, and then you not cut, you zoom in on Bruce Willis's face. That's the moment, like, oh man, that's a movie star moment. You know what I'm saying? That's when you really, really you are reminded of the fact that Bruce Willis is the man. You know, we can have a different argument or topic about whether or not Armageddon is a good movie, but that shot of him and the boys walking slowly on the tarmac, towards the ship, um, that's a movie shot right there. That's a money shot right there. um, the Last Boy Scout, 1991. I love that movie. Oh my god, I think that was the movie when I first noticed Halle Berry, the young Halle Berry. She's so beautiful. Death Becomes Her, one of my favorite comedies of all time, with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. Pulp Fiction. Oh my god, Pulp Fiction. See, I want to hear what Quentin Tarantino said. About, what I want to hear what Quentin Tarantino has to say about Bruce Willis retiring. I hope, I hope in a way, some way, Quentin Tarantino would release a statement about Bruce Willis. I know Bruce Willis is not dying; it's not his death, but still, it's still sad. Retirement is still sad. So maybe he would say something. Who knows? 12 Monkeys. That movie. I gotta say, as much as I love Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt shines much brighter in that movie. Um, and you can disagree with me on that. That's fine. But there's a reason why Brad Pitt got Oscar nominated for 12 Monkeys, Best Supporting Role, because he deserved it. And yes, Bruce Willis is the face of on the poster that you see, with the bright red eye thing. But Brad Pitt stole the scene. Brad Pitt stole the spotlight in that movie. Unbreakable. Oh my God, so good. The Sixth Sense. Oh, The Sixth Sense. Oh, so good, so good. Oh, that's when you realize that The Sixth Sense was the movie when you realize that Bruce Willis did not have to be wisecracking all the time. Wisecracking like John McClane. You know, you can right now. Ryan Reynolds is the one that fills that void, the wisecracking one in Hollywood. Every role he's like Deadpool all the time. But prior to Deadpool, prior to Ryan Reynolds, it was Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was the wisecracking one, and he made that gold. But The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, both Shyamalan's movies, those were the movies when you realize that Bruce Willis can be more than just wisecracking. That he can be silent. He can just stay still, stoic, and he would just be magnetic. He would just still be he would be hypnotic. He would be grand. Without even saying a single word. Um, because so much of his character's sadness just shines through him. Without even having to deliver a single line. The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. Those were the ones that made you realize that, my God, Bruce Willis is more than just an action star. He's an actor. So yeah, going down the memory lane of all these movies, I remember when I first watched them the first time. Like, oh, I watched this on VHS. I watched this on DVD. I watched this on this and at my friend's house or in the dorm room, and the memories come flooding in again. These lovely memories of me just watching Bruce Willis movies over the years since I was a kid, and I will always cherish that. I will always cherish that. As sad as this moment is right now, as sad as moment is today, that we are saying goodbye to Bruce Willis, the movie star, saying goodbye to Bruce Willis, the actor. As sad as that is, we can take comfort in the memories that we had over the years of watching Bruce Willis's movies, and we can still rewatch them again if we want to. It's just he has, I think he has made more than 1,000 movies. I think over his careers in like 30 to 40 years or so, or 30 years since Die Hard. Um, Not 1,000. I'm sorry. Did I say 1,000? 100. Nobody makes 1,000 movies. 100 movies. I think he has made more than 100 movies since he became a movie star with Die Hard. But I know that we haven't watched all of them, but the ones that we did watch, they left an impression on us. You know they did. You know they did. Even that erotic thriller, The Color of Night. Oh my God! When I watched that as a teenage boy, with my raging hormones and puberty, that The Color of Night was just sexy, dude. What's her name? Jane March, I believe, right? The woman. Oh, people were like gushing about Basic Instinct back then. But I was like cheering for The Color of Night. The Color of Night was amazing. Um, Amazing as in sexually amazing. So yeah, those movies left an impression on us, and we can always say even if we don't remember anything else about it, we can say that, hey, that's a Bruce Willis movie, and I just watched a Bruce Willis movie, and that's awesome. That's so awesome. Um, so yeah, hats off to you, Bruce, as you go off into the sunset and retire. We're gonna miss you, and please take care of yourself. Stay healthy, and I don't know, play Sudoku or crossword puzzles. Just to keep your brain active and whatnot. And I know that you are surrounded by the people you love that will take care of you as well. And hopefully, yeah, please be around. Be around, man. Stay around, okay? You may not be on the big screen anymore. You may not be signing projects anymore, but stay with us, man. Stay with us as long as you can, okay, Bruce? And thank you for all the memories. So, yeah. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.